So today we'll be discussing about the mind. Yes, the mind. Guarding and guiding your mind. Ever heard the popular scripture that goes, out of the abundance of the heart the mouth speaketh? Yes, it's never a coincidence that we always voice out everything, or almost everything from our heart, taking the mind to a garden. Okay, some of us that like to have a garden, say at the back of our house or at the balcony, um you would relate better with this. And for those of us that do not have a garden, of course, I also do not have a garden. But then we've seen images and we've seen pictures of a garden. Now, a garden is as beautiful as how you make it. Meaning that if you want your garden to be beautiful, you have to plant the right seeds, you have to weed at times, you have to water the garden and all of that. Now, liken this to what your mind is. Your mind is how much of what you feed it. Just the same way you have a computer or a mobile phone. It's what you feed the mobile phone that it gives to you, garbage in, garbage out. So also like the computer that you have. Now, this is also the same case as the mind. Whatever you feed your mind with is what comes out of your mouth. Now, I hear people say, oh, what I say is not a reflection of who I am. Really, most of us might not even get to want to study you, but then we always know from the way you speak. Now, if you're someone that is always throwing tantrums, I am so sure that the things you dwell on are thoughts that cause you to get angry every now and then. Now, how do we tend to guard our mind? Now, and also in scriptures as well, we know in Proverbs 23, verse 7, it says, as a man thinks in his heart, so is he. If you want to always dwell on good thoughts, if you always want to speak on good things, then try to dwell on good thoughts. I, for one, I have experienced what it feels like or what the power of the mind is in my life. Okay. I've realized that more often than not, most of the things I tend to expose myself to is most of the things I tend to dwell my thoughts on. At the time, I used to really like watching horror movies. Like, I really loved horror movies. I love action movies and all of that. And I realized that I tend to always want to imagine the worst of everything. I have always been a lover of music, regardless of genre. I didn't have a particular genre of music that I liked. As long as the beat was super nice and it was a danceable beat, or sometimes it was really slow and really exciting. Okay, I just loved music generally. But the moment I consciously and intentionally chose what I let into my mind, a lot of those music that I love to listen to became noise in my ear. Listen to when it gets some point and the lyrics are not sitting well with me, I don't even bother. I just tune off because I realize that sometimes we say you find yourself speaking a lot of swear words, you find yourself saying a lot of stuff that you're not supposed to say, and you begin to wonder, how did I get to this point? Oh, it was because you exposed your mind to a lot of things. And as you continually dwell on the things that you're not supposed to dwell on, you find it really hard because more often than not, what you listen to becomes a part of you, becomes a habit. For instance, you might not be one that says a lot of swear words, but you listen to songs that have a lot of swear words, and before you know it, you begin to say the things that you're not supposed to say. That's the same way as you have a garden, and some of us tend to not be bothered about the little things, the little weeds that grow in the garden. Now, these little weeds that grow in the garden could be thoughts that are negative, thoughts that are not productive, and you leave them and you do not tend to them, you more often than not, you just ignore it. Those weeds tend to grow and then choke the life out of the beautiful flowers that we have. Now, the beautiful flowers can be our optimistic thinking, and then we always want to dwell about all the negative things. For instance, some of us are so used to some mannerism, problem no they finish, Nigeria is bad, and all of that. Yes, we know the situation of the country due to you when you tend to dwell so much on the pessimistic thoughts and not the optimistic thought. Okay, I know, yes, Nigeria might not get better overnight. I know that it might take us some time for Nigeria to get to our glory days, but yes, we'll get there. And I solely believe that we'll get there. Just the same way as not every food is good for you, so also is not every thought good for the mind. So tend to filter the bad and dwell on the good things. and see how well your life turns out. You don't necessarily have to read every novel or every book out there. Just look for the things that are selective for you. Yes, I've heard people say, oh, I am not influenced. I can't be influenced here and there. Oh, yes, please, you can be influenced. You get mannerisms from the things you dwell on. You get mannerisms from association. You get mannerisms from people you always try to spend your time with. So if you want your mind to be filled with good things, here's a pointer for you. Dwell on good things. Relate to good things. See the good in everything. And always make it a conscious effort to watch what your mind feeds on. Remember, a garden is as beautiful as how you want it to be. The power is in your hand. If you want your mind to be good, then dwell on good things. Feed your mind with good things. And remember what I said earlier, garbage in, garbage out. Someone mentioned that peace is not the absence of a storm. So life is how you make it, and what you choose to dwell on is almost how your life tends to turn out. So please consciously dwell on the good things of life. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for joining in. And yes, I would reiterate what I said earlier. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. So if you want your mind to be good and you want the things you dwell on and the things you say to be good, then feed your garden. Have a lovely day. Thank you so much for joining in.